Ayubowan, good morning. Welcome to the very first Sri Lanka Internet Day. I'm Tharandu Amrasekara, your Master of Ceremonies for this wonderful and exciting event. The Internet, when it was launched back in the 1960s, more as a research concept, I don't think even the founders who were working on it would have envisaged the distance that research would truly go about and how the magnitude of things that it would change along the way. Even in Sri Lanka, the internet was introduced in the mid 1990s. One could even say that we have just surpassed 25 years of existence of the internet in Sri Lanka. It went on from giving us a question of what could we really do with it to the question that we ask now, what can we do without it? In such a short time, the internet has gone on to be one of those tools, a digital tool, that is used by a privileged few, or rather that was used by a privileged few, to being a digital tool that is rampant, widespread across Sri Lanka and used by those who are in the elite circles of Colombo as well as the various rural corners of this beautiful island. It has given birth to a commerce, one would say an economy, of more than $4 trillion worldwide. Digital economic activities would contribute to more than $4 trillion worldwide and indeed growing at a spiraling rate. On the other hand, if you take Sri Lanka, the internet penetration is said to be over 50% as per the recent statistics. And most importantly, we are experiencing a huge growth of mobile devices. In fact, we have an over 100% penetration of mobile devices, which further drives and fuels the adoption of the internet. Today, we have wonderful ecosystems in this country that are powered simply through the internet. But as this, one would call, digital child matures, we have to ask some further serious questions. How can we make sure that there is inclusion in these internet-based economic activities? How can we make sure that the entire country gets to benefit, to be a part of all the economic activities, the commercial activities which are made possible by the powers of the internet? That would be the theme, the focus of the Sri Lanka Internet Day. If you consider some of the topics that have been brought about today, there is so much of focus on multiple aspects of the internet. How could we do business? How could we make sure that the impact of using the internet or the impact on the environment due to usage of the internet is minimized? These are questions that get raised as the usage of this tool matures more among a wider audience. And with all this in mind, we have the Sri Lanka Internet Day being brought to you today by the FITIS organization, which is dedicated towards ensuring that the information technology solutions are being used in Sri Lanka for the betterment of the individuals as well as the enterprises, and thereby building a stronger digital economy which enables a much more stronger general economy for Sri Lanka as well. You will be having multiple workshops, multiple forums, exhibition stalls which you could attend, and one would say that this Sri Lanka Internet Day, the very first Sri Lanka Internet Day, is indeed something to be proud of because it is being enabled by the internet. That's right, the pandemic indeed made many of us stay indoors, but one thing for sure, if not for the internet, life would not have been able to be proceeded as much as to the level that people did, even in Sri Lanka. There was a very interesting quote where one said, if the pandemic happened back in the early 2000s, when the internet adoption rates were so low, we would be stuck in our homes playing a snake game on our phone. Now that would not be a life that many would even want to think of. But even in Sri Lanka, we saw from food delivery services to the healthcare and medicine related delivery services, even entertainment, how everything was taken online almost over a fortnight or a weekend rather. One would also identify how quickly QR codes were adopted, how we were able to digitally allow people to log in, to check in. All this, it's very easy to forget that behind many of these innovations, which we simply use in our day-to-day life, behind many of these apps and solutions, it's the internet that is indeed powering them. So with this in mind, ladies and gentlemen, make use of this wonderful forum, this wonderful event organized for you, and make sure that you enhance your awareness, you enhance your connections, and most importantly, that you become aware about what the internet has to further offer. How can you take your life, your organization's internet presence to the next level with some of these Industry 4.0 technologies, and also how your company and how you could be a key player in the digital economy. අප සමග මේ අවස්ථාවේ අන්තර්ජාලය ඔස්සේ සම්බන්ධ වී සිටින සෑම දෙනාම වෙනුවෙන් සුළු වචන ස්වල්පයක් පැවසීමට මා මේ අවස්ථාව උපයෝගී කරගන්නවා. අන්තර්ජාලය 1990 දශකයේ මැද භාගයේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට හඳුන්වා දීමෙන් පසුව මම හිතන්නේ ඒ සමයේ බොහෝ දෙනාට තිබූ ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි මේ කුමටද භාවිතා කළ හැක්කේ යන්න. නමුත් මේ වෙනකොට විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ වසංගත රෝගයක් නිසා COVID-19 වසංගතය නිසා බොහෝ දෙනෙකුට ව්‍යාපාර කටයුතු තමන්ගේ පුද්ගලික කටයුතු තම නිවසේ සිට අපිට සිදු කරගෙන යාමට සිදු වී තිබෙන අවස්ථාවක මේ සමාජ දුරස්ථභාවය පවත්වා ගැනීමට සිදු වී තිබෙන අවස්ථාවක බොහෝ දෙනෙකුට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි අන්තර්ජාලය නොතිබුණා නම් අපි කෙසේද මේ කටයුතු සිදු කරගෙන යන්නේ කියලා. මානව ඉතිහාසයේ ඉතාමත්ම කෙටි කාලෙකින් වැඩිම පෙරලියක් සිදු කර මෙවලම විදියට අන්තර්ජාලය හඳුන්වා දුන්නොත් මම හිතන්නේ එහි වරදක් නැහැ. අපි අද මේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා අන්තර්ජාල දිනය ශ්‍රී ලංකා ඉන්ටර්නෙට් ඩේ යන මේ අවස්ථාව මේ උත්සවයෙන් අපේ ප්‍රධාන අරමුණ වී තිබෙන්නේ ඔබටත් ඔබේ ව්‍යාපාර කටයුතු වලටත් කෙසේද මේ අන්තර්ජාල කටයුතු සිදු කරගෙන අන්තර්ජාල ඔස්සේ කෙසේද ඔබගේ ව්‍යාපාර කටයුතු සිදු කරගෙන යා හැක්කේ මොනවද මේ තියෙන නවතම තාක්ෂණ ඔබට උපයෝගී කරගත හැක්කේ කෙසේද යන්නේ. කිමද මෙම අපි ගත්තොත් අන්තර්ජාලය ඔබ භාවිතා කිරීම 1990 දශකයට වඩා මේ වන විට ඉතාමත්ම අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් මුහුකුරා ගොස් තියෙනවා මෙහි භාවිතය. එය මුලදී ඉතාමත්ම ඉහළ පැරැන්තියේ ධනවත් කීප දෙනෙකුටම සීමා වෙලා තිබුණත් මේ වෙනකොට ලංකාවේ සෑම අස්සක් මුල්ලක් නැර සිටින ඕනෑම කෙනෙකුට Tamanට කැමති භාෂාවකින් භාවිතා කිරීමට හැකි මාධ්‍යයක් බවට පත් වී තියෙනවා. මෙවැනි අවස්ථාවක මෙහි භාවිතය මෙලෙස මුහුකුරා ගොස් ඇති අවස්ථාවක අපි කෙසේද මෙම තාක්ෂණය වගකීමෙන් භාවිතා කරන්නේ. අපි කෙසේද මෙම තාක්ෂණය අන් අයට කරදරයක් නොවන විදිහට අපගේ පරිසරයට හානියක් නොවන විදිහට මේ කෙසේද අපිට භාවිතා කළ හැක්කේ. මෙවැනි බොහෝ ප්‍රශ්න ඉදිරියට පැමිණෙනවා. ඉතින් මෙම දින දෙක පුරා ඔබට නොයෙකුත් වැඩමුළු ඒ වගේම නොයෙකුත් කතිකයින් ඔවුන්ගෙන් ඒ දැනුම ලබාගෙන ඔබට වඩාත් හොඳට අන්තර්ජාලය ඔබේ ව්‍යාපාර කටයුතු වලට සහ ඔබගේ පෞද්ගලික කටයුතු වලට අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම භාවිතා කරගත හැකියි. එබැවින් FITIS ආයතන විසින් ඔබ වෙත මේ ගෙන එන මේ අන්තර්ජාල දිනය ඔබට ඉතාමත්ම ඵලදායී සාර්ථක දෙදිනක් වේවා කියා මා ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා. And ladies and gentlemen, to continue with today's proceedings, it is now my privilege to invite the chairman of the Digital Services chapter of the FITIS organization, Jiffry Zulfer.
Good morning, everyone. I warmly welcome to the first Sri Lanka Internet Day virtual conference, an event planned and executed by the digital chapter of FITIS. This month marks 26 years of Internet in Sri Lanka. We've come to a crucial juncture of this country's history. We are also observing the first anniversary of the pandemic, when the physical world as we knew turned upside down. When all our human-to-human engagements came to a full stop. We had no option but to turn to the internet world for support. 22 can be marked as the beginning of the actual digitization of Sri Lanka. As the traditional Sinhala and New Year dawns, we would be going into a year of realization and action in this sphere. But before we do that, we need to sit down, analyze, and understand where we want to go. The next 2 days events of about 40 sessions is just about that. Although that alone is not enough. Our theme itself is digital inclusion, which suggests that we need to collect everything we have, all our resources, in developing a cohesive plan to take advantage of this situation. Very little financial investment is necessary to build dreams and ideas into concepts and reality. Sri Lanka has produced so many who can do this, but we lack is entrepreneurial spirit. Our startup industry is still in the startup stage. We need more Sri Lankans taking the leap into technology entrepreneurship. This is also the reason why we picked the theme digital inclusion for our first Internet Day. But here too, I have to say a lot more is yet to be done. We still have ways to go into becoming inclusive. The digital services chapter of FITIS is focused in sensitizing everyone on the dire need to level the playing field so that we can create not just a platform of equality, but one of equity. This means we have to try not only to give an opening to the wider segment of our society to be part of our sessions, but to play a role in supporting and sponsoring them to aspire to greater heights. Today, the digital and the online world is meeting the offline world, and the way of life will change forever. We have seen this happening in transportation, entertainment, food consumption, government services, financial services, healthcare, and many more. That is also the vision of this country. We are greatly encouraged that this is a very important sector in our economy, now comes directly under the patronage of His Excellency, the President, who has spelled out his vision for a technologically advanced Sri Lanka. We take the cue from President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's vision to develop our nation as a tech-savvy nation. We are also happy to be associated with the country's primary digital agency, ICTA, who have given their unconditional support to this event. So the Internet Day is a celebration of life, not just set of techies. In putting this day together, we spoke to people from all walks of life. This Internet Day, we have reached into areas which have never been done before. The media is called to cover an event and report on it, but this time we have delved deeper. We have one event which is a session on fake news and another covering cybersecurity for journalists. We hope the media will take full advantage of this opportunity to be a part of the Internet Day and follow-up events. There is a need for us to work smart. We need to protect our intellectual property and our data. To this end, we'll be working closely with the authorities in finding better ways to police and protect our digital borders. We will support the creation of innovative policies that will be modern and trailblazing. Today, we are taking our first steps in making a dreams into inclusive plan to gather everyone on our little island to go forward. We cannot do this on our own. We need help from all our friends. This time, it is our closest neighbor from across the Pork Strait coming to our support. We are grateful to Latika Pai, country head, Venture Capital and Private Equity Partnership at Microsoft India, for being our co-chair. She was a great inspiration for us all, working closely with us to make this event a success. Today, we need that vision, but we also need daring entrepreneurs to take on the challenges of this new world in bringing opportunities to Sri Lanka. Going forward, we intend working with state agencies, the private sector, in creating a platform where digital enterprise will thrive. So let's take our first steps in making this first internet a great success. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Abbas Kamrudeen, the chairman of Federation of IT Industry Sri Lanka, and a very warm welcome to all of you. Sri Lanka Internet Day. Well, Sri Lanka Internet Day is all about harnessing the power of the internet. And this power that we talk about, the power of the internet, is not something to be underestimated. The internet has successfully managed to create unknown economies and convert them into global digital superpowers. Countries such as Estonia are good examples. The internet has successfully managed to topple governments in many, many countries. The internet has made individuals billionaires overnight. And if you take the world today, a vast majority of the companies, the largest companies in the world today, are internet-based. And that just tells you a little bit about the power and the strength of internet. So, let me just give you a quick brief to FITIS. FITIS is the apex body industry representing the ICT industry of Sri Lanka. From the hardware companies, to the software companies, to the telcos, to the various different internet service providers, to the ICT education companies, to the professionals and the office automation, and so on and so forth. FITIS is the body that represents all these elements. And our mandate is very, very specific. We have two core mandates. One is driving a strong, thriving digital economy in Sri Lanka, and the other one is to see how we could actually establish Sri Lanka as a regional technology hub. Both these mandates would actually benefit Sri Lanka in a great, great way, and it would actually allow Sri Lanka to become a well-developed nation. And in line with this, the whole industry has got together to put in the effort and to make sure that these mandates are realized. So we have identified, FITIS has identified key 7 pillars that we feel is required to drive this strategy forward. From everything from connectivity to all, not just connectivity to some, but connectivity to all, digital literacy, digital entrepreneurship, access to data, digital enterprise, and digital services and devices. I'm not going to go into detail, but we believe that FITIS has a very clear strategy as to how we could achieve our two core mandates and thereby help support our nation to grow. And in line with this, Sri Lanka Internet Day is an absolutely critical event towards these strategies and towards our core mandates. So the question is, why digital economy? Why do we need a digital economy? So just to go into it a little bit further, as most of you know, Sri Lanka actually missed out on the third industrial revolution, right? Countries around us, countries like Singapore, we saw really develop themselves, really move forward and become thriving, vibrant economies by adopting the third industrial revolution. Well, we missed that, but now it's time to make sure we don't miss the fourth industrial revolution. And that is, the fourth industrial revolution is all about the digital economy, right? And countries that have already started adopting what we call Industry 4.0 are thriving already. Countries like Malaysia, who have got their digital economy, which is contributing towards 34.5% of their GDP by way of digital economy, is already seeing the benefits of adopting a strong digital economy. And I think it's up to Sri Lanka to make sure we've got everything in place. We've got the skill sets, we've got the resources, we've got the leadership, we've got everything in place, but it's important now to grab it and run and to make sure that the necessary adoption is in place to make sure that we too move into a very strong and vibrant digital economy. So, what does the digital economy do? Essentially, what the digital economy is all about is using various different technologies that have been created over the last few years to make sure that you incorporate these technologies into every element of the economy to create unprecedented levels of productivity and efficiency throughout the economy, thereby creating a wave towards moving towards becoming one of the leading economies in the world. So digital economy contribution is going to be absolutely vital as we go along, and Sri Lanka should be moving towards that to ensure that we benefit from the fourth industrial revolution and we become a very strong economy. So the Internet Day is not just about connectivity. I understand when you say the word internet, most people's mind go into internet connectivity. Well, it's not just about connectivity. It's about how the digital economy can actually, how actually the internet could enable a thriving digital economy which covers every element from the citizens to the enterprises to the government to every element of the economy, addresses the benefits of using digital technologies, which is primarily driven through the internet, and making sure that they actually create productivity, create efficiency increases, which would result in a very, very stronger economy. So that's what these 2 days are going to be all about. It's all about going to understand every element of that, understanding the challenges of those of a digital economy, understand how to overcome these challenges. And I can promise you that it's going to be an exciting 2 days full of various different subject areas which will ultimately result in certain policy decisions, certain initiatives that we would like to come out with at the end of 2 days, which would help us move towards our objectives. So that's the whole outcome that we're expecting out of the 2 days. Let me just also take this opportunity finally to thank everyone who has been behind this, starting with our 2 co-chairs, Zulfer and Latika, who've done a tremendous job in terms of making this happen. And also our team at FITIS, headed by Aruna Alvis, and the team behind him, the team behind it who made this happen, as well as to all our sponsors, to the media, to all the well-wishers, for really making this first Internet Day such a resounding success so far. So with that, I would like to thank the FITIS board as well, including our vice chairman, our senior vice chairman, and the other board members for supporting this. And I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful 2 days for all the audience who have connected with us today. Thank you very much, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you very much, Zulfer and Abbas, for those wonderful sentiments and setting the right tone for the next 2 days, which is about what this event is focused on, the purpose behind this very important inaugural event, the Sri Lanka Internet Day, and what we will be discussing. Just to add up to some of the key points that were discussed, we heard about how the direction for a digital strategy for Sri Lanka is indeed coming from the very top in terms of the national level decision making. It is something very encouraging to see how the President, His Excellency, the President, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa himself, setting the tone about the importance of developing digital services and creating more jobs and employment opportunities through these various digital technologies, and most importantly about how policy decisions need to be shaped so that we will be having a consideration of digital technology-based solutions in our day-to-day business and personal lives as well. Now, discussing about some of the upcoming sessions for your information, because I'm quite sure many of you would be quite keen to know what exactly is coming up. Yes, it has been communicated in advance, but just to refresh. So we will be soon having a session regarding Sri Lanka's digital strategy. It will be moderated by one of the conference co-chairs, Ms. Latika Pai, and this will be conducted together with Mr. Jayantha De Silva and Professor Lalit Gamage. We also have a forum on internet connectivity to all, which will be moderated by none other than Mr. Abbas Kamrudeen, and it will also be featuring Mr. Oshada Senanayaka. We will be also having another session on demystifying digital transformation. Now, when it comes to digital transformation, this seems to be quite, one would say, a subjective area. We hear so many people talking about it, but the references made are indeed quite stark in their contrast. So how do we exactly understand what digital transformation is about, and how do we make sure that it becomes relevant to us, to you, and what do you need to know about it? This will be the focus on the forum, the session on demystifying digital transformation, which will be carried out by Ms. Vaishali Kasturi, who is the leader for strategic projects for Amazon Internet Services Private Limited. I believe her name goes as Vaishali Kasture. Then we will be having a forum on digital government for seamless public services delivery, and this will be moderated by Arjuna Herath, a partner at Ernst & Young, and it will also be featuring Thampi Koshi, who is once again a partner at Ernst & Young, Ms. Kanchana Tudugala, who is the Chief Digital Government Officer for ICTA, Tushara Suravira, who is the Additional Secretary of Reforms for the Ministry of Justice. So, as more and more people in the country adopt digital technologies, as we mentioned in the beginning, with a penetration rate of more than 50%, mind you, it's something that even from a governance perspective, from the national policy perspectives, and most importantly, from the legal perspectives, something that has to be truly considered and taken into consideration. At this point, just to share with you some of the potential that this has to offer, one would hear two types of thoughts regarding the internet in Sri Lanka. I would even call it two schools of thought. One school of thought is where the praises are sung, where they sing in very high praise about the potential that this internet brings and how so much of benefit is happening, etc. Just to relate a story to that. About a week ago, there was a video released on YouTube by one government official who is working in an extremely rural area, somewhere close to Nikavarathiya. And he featured a child who has been abandoned by the parents. And in fact, this story was later also featured by another famous YouTuber. Now, when the contact number of this relevant party, the one who posted the original video, was traced, and when he was spoken to, just to ask what more help do you need, what more kind of assistance is required, the answer was stunning. The answer was, well, sir, the latest update is that they've received too much of help and aid. They've got all the child's schooling needs, the house construction needs, the food needs, clothing needs, everything is covered for simply through all the aid that came flowing in through the last few days. The power of the internet, my friends. On the other hand, there's another school of thought where the internet tends to be sometimes featured more on the evil side, talking about some of the cyberbullying aspects, talking about some of the cases of blackmailing of youth, and so many a plethora of other problems. This is where proper policy, proper governance comes into play, so that we can continue to use the internet for what's good while minimizing any risk that businesses or individuals could face. We will also be having another forum on digital cities later on, moderated by Arjuna Hera together with Amit Mida. And the broad basing of the stock market through digitalization, that will be moderated by Lakshmi Fernando, and will be featuring Jayantha Fernando, Director of the Colombo Stock Exchange, Rajiv Bandaranayake, who is the CEO of the Colombo Stock Exchange, Chandrakant Jayasinghe, who is the CIO of the Colombo Stock Exchange, and many more eminent speakers.